Okay, so here's the question that I asked, because the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't think people understand that there's different types of Sabbaths. Because there's the weekly Sabbaths, there's the Sabbath year where you let the land rest, and just like there is the Jubilee years, there's a Sabbath year. So I just wanted you all to see the difference in those Sabbaths. So let's read. Based on the stone addition, the seventh day is established as a perpetual covenant and is not restricted to the promised land. The Torah distinguished between the weekly Sabbath, sign of creation covenant, and the Sabbath year, festivals dependent on the land. Here are details regarding your question based on the Torah, the Sabbath location, land versus diaspora. There is no verse in the stone addition to Tanakh that states the 7-day weekly Sabbath can only be kept in the promised land, Zion. The weekly Sabbath. It is a sign of creation and a covenant given to Israel for all generations, regardless your locations. That is Exodus 31:13 through 17. The land-based Sabbath, sabbatical year, Jubilees, didn't I tell you? Leviticus 25:2 explicitly restricts the Sabbath of the land, Shemitah, to when you are in the land. Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come into the land that I have given you, the land shall observe a rest day for the Most High Yah. The Sabbath in the wilderness. Yes, the Israelites observed the Sabbath in the wilderness. The manna, which began in the wilderness, established the weekly Sabbaths pattern before Sinai, Exodus 16:23 through 30. It is described as a rest or holiday for them to observe by not gathering food and resting in their place, Exodus 16:29. Daniel and the Sabbaths in Babylon. While the book of Daniel doesn't explicitly describe him keeping the 7-day Sabbath, it implies Daniel was aware of the number of years. Daniel 9:2, regarding the 70-year exile, which was caused specifically by failure to keep the land Sabbath. So we wasn't keeping our land Sabbath, y'all. 2 Chronicles 36:21. Daniel was known for extreme adherence to the Torah. AG in food laws, Daniel 1, making a highly probable that he and the other faithful Israelites maintained the weekly Sabbath to keep their identity in Babylon. Therefore, the Sabbaths in the Tanakh, different Sabbath. There are several types of Sabbaths. Session of work in the Torah. The weekly Sabbath, the 7th day every week, Exodus 28 through 11. The Sabbath of the land, Shemitah, every 7 years, agricultural work stopped, Leviticus 25:4. Jubilee, Yovel, after 7 year cycles, 49. The 50th year is a year of freedom and rest, Leviticus 25:11. Y'all, and that we're coming into that right now. We're getting ready to come into that. We're about to come into the 77th. That is coming up in the new year that's coming up. You know, the new year starts in the month of Eid. Yom Kippur, Sabbath of Sabbaths, Leviticus 23:32. Festival of Sabbaths, Yom Tov, the first and the last day of Passover. Shabbat, Rosh Hashanah, Sukkot, where creative work is forbidden. Difference based on Torah. Weekly Sabbaths versus festival Sabbaths. On the weekly Sabbaths, I'm sorry, I was looking at my cat. In festival Sabbaths, on the weekly Sabbaths, all work is forbidden. And on festival Sabbaths, preparing food, Ocho Nefesh, is allowed. Exodus 12:16, which is forbidden on the weekly Sabbath. Weekly Sabbaths versus land Sabbath. The weekly Sabbath applies to the people and animals everywhere. The land Sabbath, Leviticus 25, only applies to agricultural activity within the borders of Israel. Note, as noted in the search results, while the seventh day was commanded specifically to Israel as a sign, it is also presented as a universal principle of creation. Exodus 20 and 11. Let's go up here. Let's do it another way. I always do this twice. Ask the same question twice. So y'all don't think I'm manipulating. I'll let y'all watch me do it. In the Stone Edition Tanakh, there is no verse where the Most High Yah states that the weekly Sabbath must be kept only in the Promised Land. On the contrary, the text identifies the Sabbath as a perpetual sign for the people of Israel, regardless of location. The Sabbath observant outside the land. In the wilderness, Israel strictly observed the Sabbath before ever entering the Promised Land. The commandment was first introduced through the miracle of manna in the wilderness of Sin. Now, Exodus 16:23 through 29, Moses instructed the people to rest on the seventh day while still in the desert, and the severity of keeping it in the wilderness is highlighted in Numbers 15:32 through 36, where a man is executed for gathering wood on the Sabbath while they were still wandering. Daniel in Babylon. While the book of Daniel doesn't explicitly record keeping the Sabbath, scholars and rabbinic traditions infer his observance based on his strict adherence to other dietary and prayer laws. Daniel 1 and 8, 6 and 11, and his familiarity with Jeremiah's prophecy regarding the land's rest. Types of Sabbaths in the Torah. The Stone Edition Tanakh distinguish between the weekly Sabbath and other Sabbaths tied to the land or festivals. Type of Sabbath. Weekly Sabbath. Torah references Exodus 28 through 11. Occurs every 7 days. Commemorates creation. Prohibits 39 categories of the Melacha creative work. Sabbatical year. Shemitah. Leviticus 25 1 through 7. Occurs every 7 years. Limited only to the Promised Land. Agricultural work is prohibited so the land can rest. Jubilee year. Yavol. Leviticus 25 8 through 13. Occurs every 7 cycles of 7 years. 50 year. Involved the release of slaves and return to the ancestral land. Y'all, I can't wait till we go back to the ancestral land. I cannot wait till our Jubilee. This is our Jubilee time, y'all. Y'all understand we about to be in a Jubilee year. Festival Sabbaths. Leviticus 23. Specific holy days. Yom Tov, like Yom Kippur, or the first day of Sukkot, while Sabbath like in rest. Some allow food preparation except Yom Kippur. Key distinctions: the weekly Sabbath is a sign between me and the children of Israel, meant for all generations, whereas the sabbatical year, Shabbat, is specifically contingent upon being in the land. When you come into the land which I give you. Would you like me to see specific rabbinic commentaries on the stone regarding why certain feasts are land dependent while the Sabbath is not? No, I don't need that one. Let me go back up here. Let's go up to where Daniel, I wrote about Daniel. Oops, space and oops. And how am I doing that? While the book of Daniel does not explicitly say Daniel kept the Sabbath, scriptures show him as deeply observant, praying 3 times a day, refusing forbidden foods. Furthermore, 2 Chronicles 36:21 state that the captivity lasted 70 years to allow the land to enjoy its Sabbaths, implying that their failure to keep the sabbatical year was a reason for exile, making it highly probable that the faithful remnant, including Daniel, kept the weekly Sabbath in Babylon to maintain their identity. The prophet in captivity, Ezekiel, prophesies during the Babylonian captivity and heavily emphasizes the Sabbath as a covenant sign. Ezekiel 20 and 12 and 20. Nehemiah, who lived during the Persian post-exile period, strongly enforced the Sabbath, treating its breach as a cause of previous exiles. Nehemiah 13:15-22. Y'all, we better keep these Sabbaths. How many different Sabbaths are there in the stone disk? Not. There's the weekly. There's the Sabbath of the land. There's the festival of high Sabbaths. And first and 8-day Passover, Shavuot, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, first day of Sukkot, Shemitah, different based on the Torah, weekly Sabbath, prohibited all creative work, Melachah, festival Sabbaths, prohibit work but allows food preparation, Ochonesh, Exodus, Sabbath of the land, prohibits agricultural labor, sowing, pruning, Leviticus 25:4. Yom Kippur specifically refers to this as Sabbath of Sabbaths, Shabbat, involving complete fasting in addition to rest. Leviticus 23:32. So, and y'all gonna tell me that y'all get to America and the so-called Indians, the so-called black people was keeping this? They was doing this. Go look it up. Go look it up. They were doing this. So, I hope this helped people with the argument to understand that there's more than one type of Sabbath. Now, when it comes to the day, I won't argue with people about that because they did try. The Most High Yah said they did try to change. You know what? Let's ask the question. While I'm here, see if it can give me the answer based. The Stone Edition to Not Okay, let me let the dog out. The stone edition not records the prophecy in Daniel 7:25, stating that a king would speak words against the Most High and shall wear out the holy ones and shall think to change times and laws. Many scholars and religious groups identify this power as the Roman Empire and its successors, the Roman Church, which historically transitioned the primary days of the worship from Saturday to Sunday. The attempt to change times and laws. Historically, the Roman Empire and early church took several steps to impact the Sabbath. Constantine decreed 3321 AD. Emperor Constantine issued the first civil Sunday law mandating the rest on the venerable day of the sun. Council of Laodicea. This council explicitly forbidden Christians from Judaizing by resting on Saturday, the Sabbath, decreeing they should work on that day and under Sunday instead. Calendar shift. The transition from Hebrew lunar solar calendar to Roman Julian and later Gregorian calendar changed how months and days were calculated, moving from the sunset to sunset day to midnight day. Evidence from the Apocrypha and Dead Sea Scrolls in the Book of Enoch and Jubilee, often excluded from modern canons. This is a strong emphasis on a 364-day solar calendar. We're children of the day. Calendar disputes. These texts suggest that even in ancient time there were intense debate over the true calendar. The writers of Jubilees warned that if Israel followed the moon cycle incorrectly, they would forget the feast and the Sabbaths. Lunar versus solar. Some modern researchers argue the true Sabbath was originally lunar based, falling on the 8th, the 15th, and 22nd, and 29th on the lunar month, while others point the Enochical solar calendar as the original divine ordained system. Was the true Sabbath successfully hidden? Whether the change was successful depends on the perspective. Mainstream Judaism assert that the weekly 7-day cycle has remained unbroken since antiquity. They maintain the Saturday observance today in the same 7-day command at Sinai, meaning the true day was never lost and hidden. Prophetic Sabbath keeping groups argued that Rome was successful in hiding the importance of the Sabbath from the masses by substituting it with the Sunday. Some go further, suggest that by imposing a continuous 7-day week, Rome obscured a more ancient calendar like the lunar or the Enochic ones that define the Sabbath differently. Would you like to see specific calendars laid out on the Book of Enoch to compare them with the modern Gregorian calendar? Why not? I'm already here. Now, as for me, y'all, I keep the Sabbath on Saturday because in different languages, Sabbath means Saturday. Saturday means Sabbath. So that's why I do it. So because that's what the word means. And Yah only gave one day a name, and that's the Sabbath. The other days he numbered. So that's why I do it. Now, I don't go at you if you keep a different Sabbath day. I do not do that because of the fact, what is that on that ground over there? Because of the fact that, yes, they attempted, and he used the words attempted. So I always go, well, did they succeed? I don't know. I'm not gonna press people about that part. I'm not gonna argue with people about that part because they may have not succeeded, because he said they will attempt to do it. Attempt. That That doesn't. Tempt means they didn't succeed in my perspective, but I'm not going to argue with people on that one. As long as you're trying to keep a Sabbath for Most High Yah, hey, you're not bad in my eye if you keep it on a different day, because of the fact is, he said the Sabbath is a sign between me and you. So you're trying to keep that sign between you and him. So I'm not gonna argue with that with you. The stone addition to not the calendar is lunar solar together follow both moon and sun. However, the book of Enoch, the astronomical book, chapter 72 through 82, the book of Jubilee described as fixed 364 solar calendar that differs significantly from both modern Gregorian calendar and traditional. So Enoch Jubilee to total days 364, 24, 25 days. Modern instruction 12 months, fixed 31 days. 12-month irregular 31 days. Start of the year spring, day night equal. January 1st fixed. Weekly alignments. Distinctive dates always fall on the same weekday every year. Shifting dates move weekdays forward each year. Fixed to the 7th day, a 364-day cycle. Continuously 7-day cycle regardless of year length. Leap, likely use weeks omitted the text. Uses leap days. Enoch year layout. Enoch calendar is perfectly symmetrical, divided into 4 seasons of 91 days each, 13 weeks. Month 1 and 2, 30 days each. Month 3 and 31 days. And the 31st day is a seasonal marker or interstellar day. The first day, according to some interpretations, and the Dead Sea Scrolls, the year always begins on Wednesday, and the sun and the moon were created on the 4th day. So the sun and the moon was created on the 4th day. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that would make the rest day on the 4th day. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It was created on the 4th day. According to the interpretation, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the year begins on Wednesday, as the sun and the moon was created on the 4th day. On the 4th. So 4, 5, 6, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Y'all, Saturday. I'm adding that up again in my head. So, because the Most High Yah rested. The Most High Yah rested on the 7th day. And then he rested on the 7th day. So Wednesday is the sun and the moon, as the sun and the moon was created on the 4th day, which is a Wednesday. Thursday, 5, Friday, 6, Saturday, 7. All right. I'm sticking with Saturday, y'all. And y'all can do what y'all want. The result, because 364 is exactly divisible by 7, if the first day of the year is Wednesday, every Passover, and the 14th day of the month, then this would fall on Tuesday. Every weekly Saturday would fall on exact same day every single year. So The proponent, the Enochian calendar, argued that the Gregorian calendar successfully hid the true Sabbath by breaking the solar connection, moving the new year from the spring equinox. So they're saying they think it's on Tuesday. Based on the Enoch, they think it's Tuesday. And then I saw somebody else saying that the Sabbath is Tuesday. But what I just counted, and I could be reading that wrong, according to the interpretation that Dead Scriptures go, the year always began on the Wednesday as the sun and the moon were created on the fourth day. Sun created on the fourth. Am I reading that right, y'all? Which was a Wednesday. He made the sun and the moon on the Wednesday. He made the sun and the moon on the Wednesday. Am I reading that right? Tell me if I'm reading it wrong. If I'm reading it wrong, let me know. I don't claim to be perfect. I always pray to the Most High God that I'm reading His word like He wanted, like He came out of His mouth, not like I've been taught by the English language. I'm trying to read it in the Hebrew, so I'm praying that I'm saying it the way y'all said it, not the way the people told us. So if I'm reading that wrong, let me know. Now, and proponent, and so they're saying based on their calculation, it should be Tuesday, but based on me counting it from that the making of the sun and the moon, it should be Saturday. So proponents of the Enochian calendar break down on the solar connection, introducing drift by adding 1 day, 365 total, or 2 leap years. The Gregorian system have caused the Sabbath to shift through different dates, whereas Enochian system keeps appointed time feasts and Sabbath in locked eternal position. Lunar confusion. They claim the traditional Hebrew calendar, which uses moons, was later corrupted, that causes Israel to err regarding the correct time of the festivals. Would you like to see the breakdown of the dates of the festivals? No, I would not. So based on this one right here, I'm tapping on that. You see the thing. I'm getting Saturday, but based on these people, they're getting Tuesday. So just I'm not gonna argue with you as long as you are keeping a Sabbath for y'all. So until y'all show up, I'm just gonna keep the Sabbath because that is the only named day during the week. The rest are numbered, so that's why I'm keeping the Sabbath. And in other languages, the Sabbath is named Saturday. So that's the only reason I'm doing that. But I know that I do also know we are children of the day. We're not children of the night. We're children. We use the day that Enoch gave us, and based on if it's going on Enoch, it would be Tuesday. So I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to try to keep you from doing it how you doing it. I'm just going to keep the sign between the Most High, Him, that we're going to keep a Sabbath. So I'm going to keep a Sabbath, which I'm going to keep it Saturday until y'all tell me to change it. So one thing we need to stay focused on, Yah only, to not law, statutes, commandments, and we need to remember to cry out to Him so that He will come and save us. All praises to Yah and Him alone. Hallelujah. Woo!